Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know how there's those lunatics who believe that biological males can or should be able to get pregnant? Or those people who believe that same-sex relationships should still be able to result in having children? Or that whatever someone identifies as is what they actually are? Well, okay, most people in the world recognize that this is lunacy. But I mean, all of this is just symptomatic of a broader nihilistic relativist mentality that I think has developed over the last few generations, whereby people believe that they should be able to do something without actually being able to do it. Now, this devaluing of actual talent, of actual skill, of actual knowledge, of even genetics, has been greatly enabled by technology. I mean, back in the day, if you couldn't carry a tune, if you had a terrible singing voice, you could forget about becoming a singer. Your natural lack of talent would let you know that your destiny lay in other pursuits. But now things like auto-tune and other, assorted technologies in the music industry can turn someone whose voice naturally sounds like a dying cat into a singing star. People who can't write can now just use ChatGPT and maybe even become authors, despite the fact that they have no writing talent. I mean, earlier on, people who can't spell could use spell check. People can have the fat sucked out of their bodies by liposuction instead of adhering to a responsible diet. People can inject themselves with steroids to balloon up their muscles instead of genuinely building muscle through training. And I mean, on and on. So everyone can get the results they want without the effort, without the skill, without the discipline, without the talent, without the work. To me, all of this is the same lunacy. One isn't worse than the other. I mean, you do actually have to be good at something in order to be good at something. You have to actually be something in order to be that thing. That's reality. But in the West, this is just how estranged they have become from truth. They literally believe that simulations or imitations or illusions are real. It's a society-wide disorder, and I think it's been cultivated for a very long time, and I think it's more or less irreversible. I mean, I'll be honest, whenever I find myself dealing with a Westerner, I always have to basically assume, I go into it assuming, that I'm dealing with someone who's not mentally okay. Someone whose brain and thought processes have been severely traumatized by enforced cognitive dissonance and like mind viruses since childhood. This is why I think really having debates or discussions with Westerners is pretty much futile. You're not engaging with people who care about truth or who even know what that means. You're dealing with people, by and large, whose brains are so scrambled that they're moving around in the world basically like high-functioning schizophrenics. I mean, subhanAllah, Muslims who live in the West must really feel like the lone survivors in a zombie apocalypse movie, navigating their way through a dangerous wasteland, trying desperately to not get bitten and infected themselves. Allah help you. Muslims are not immune to this, by the way. Muslims who live in the West and elsewhere, because I'll give you an example. How many Muslims do you know who pretend to be scholars? Who think that because they can Google something and then regurgitate what they just Googled, it means they have knowledge. Or who can read a hadith and recite a hadith to you as if they are hadith scholars. I mean, this happens all the time, especially online, obviously. This is fake knowledge. It's not knowledge. This is, this is sort of connected to like the Western school system, where you have to learn something for a test, and then immediately after the test, you forget what you learned. So you didn't actually accumulate knowledge. You're not preserving it. You just have it for the purpose of the test. And now you have a lot of people, and Muslims, who temporarily acquire knowledge for the purpose of winning a discussion or winning a debate or winning an argument or proving their point, and then they immediately forget it. They don't remember what they just Googled, what they just read in hadith, what ayah they just read, what tafsir they just read, what fatwa they just read. They have no idea. They just Googled it for ad hoc purposes, for the sake of the online argument that they're having with someone in the comment section. And they just copy and paste it. Maybe they don't even read it properly. They just copy and paste it. And it goes nowhere in their memory bank. But they want to posture like they're scholars, when maybe they haven't even read the Quran. Maybe they haven't even read a single volume of tafsir. Maybe they haven't read even Sahih Bukhari or even Riyadh al-Salihin, but they want to pretend that they're scholars, and they think that, well, because I have access to this information, it's the same as having the information and having the knowledge in my mind. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. So Muslims have to be really careful of this. And that's what I mean about like wandering around in the zombie apocalypse wasteland, trying not to get bitten and infected, because it's very difficult to not get infected. Just like in those zombie movies, it's very hard to avoid getting infected. It's very hard for Muslims living in the West, and even Muslims outside of the West who deal with the English language internet and things like Twitter and Facebook and so on, because the whole sort of culture online is very westernized. It's very it's that same mentality of, I just have to present as something and I will be regarded as that thing. And Muslims can fall into that trap. But we have to remember as Muslims that the truth is the truth, and reality is reality, and what's real is what's real, and scholarship is scholarship. And being able to Google what a scholar said, being able to look on Wikipedia about, say, Islamic history or whatever, is not the same as learning. It's not the same as actually acquiring and retaining knowledge. Don't present yourself like a scholar if you're not one. And most of us aren't. Most of the real scholars, you're not even going to find them online in the first place. You have to go to them and learn face to face. And you have to actually read books, not just quickly Google a topic and see random quotes by scholars or Sahaba or Tabi'een or the Salaf about a particular topic, and then you think, well, now I know that topic back and forth. No, you don't. You're not even close. You're not even close. It's 1,400 years of scholarship, bro. If you don't speak Arabic, if you can't read Arabic, you're not even close. What's been translated into English is like this much compared to what there is. And what's been translated is largely has been translated through the financing and the funding from a particular school of thought, from people who subscribe to a particular school of thought. So they're only getting translated into English things that agree with that particular school of thought. So then the English-speaking Muslim world is only exposed to that little segment of knowledge, that little segment of opinion in the history of fiqh, in the history of Islamic scholarship. So you're not even close to a scholar just because you've read a few, maybe even a few books, or you can Google, or you can look on Wikipedia, or go to some Islamic website. But then you'll present yourself as a scholar. And this is I think one of the most dangerous things, or one of the most dangerous sort of forms of the zombie infection that Muslims are susceptible to, who live in the West and who participate in English language internet wherever they are in the world. So be careful. Jazakumullahu khairan wa assalamu alaikum.